Hi there, it's 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday the 17th of May and I'm here at Places Leisure Centre in Eastleigh and I'm here for the Southampton Brick Festival. So I've slightly extended my display and I've now got 3 tables and I've asked for a corner so I can have Classic Space on one side and then upscale builds on the other. So I'm going to get it all set up and then I'll show you what it looks like. So it's 9:42 and I'm all set up and there's a bit of a queue starting to build up in the hall. So I asked for a corner table because I thought it'd just be easier to manage and talk to people if I'm in a corner rather than 3 tables all in a row. And also the display next door to us hasn't turned up, so I've just spread out ever so slightly to help brick festivals out. And the display on the other side is also going to spread out. We're going to fill up that table so we don't have an empty space. But this is what I've got. I've got these new stands which are holding things up. So I've got my colours of spacemen here with my DeLorean fire trails in front of it. Then we've got the micro Space Baby monorail. Then moving along we've got every colour of Spaceman, and look at that, the YouTube sign's a long way up, let's turn that round. So we've got every colour of Spaceman, every colour, every size I mean of Spaceman, and of course the new brick built version. And then first time out we've got our giant snack bar sitting on the corner here, and I thought it'd be nice to have the finished model and its box there, and we've also got up to step 2 here mirrored in the large version. And then I've also upscaled the instructions so people can see what stage I'm at, and we've got an extra white brick there. The only thing I've noticed is that the tables bow ever so slightly, so even though these are flat you can see the gap starting to sort of spread out here, and it's getting difficult to put the bricks on top. So what I think I'm going to need is next show put this on a piece of wood to keep it ever so completely flat, and then the bricks will fit on a lot better. But this piece particularly is very difficult to get on because the whole base plate is bowing this way ever so slightly just because the tables sag. And then coming around the corner we've got the mini loader and the upscale that started it all, the space buggy, then upscale space babies in front, and then the Lego set upscale minifigures with my odds and ends in front. So we've got a case and the letter, and of course that pirate chest with its treasure to go with the pirate. So there we go, that's my display. So I haven't seen too much vintage stuff, but I have been drawn to this set. We've got a not old 80s but 90s Octane race set. Down below it we've also got a nice little caravan set, but the one I'm interested in below it is that little marina set. So we've got 3 minutes to go before we start, and I found another nice stand with some old sets on it. Lots of lovely looking sets, but way down here, if you look, we've got some classic pirate stuff. We've got this here, and then some knights as well. Little pirate in a boat. We've got this castle, which I've got myself, but so I won't be buying that one, but I am interested in this one back here. So my friend Paul has just come along with a whole bunch of vintage sets because he's been slowly selling off his childhood Lego. I bought a fire station off him fairly recently, which I made a video about, but he's just bought me some amazing train stuff, which I'm going to have a look through and see if there's anything there I want to buy. So it's all 12-volt Lego trains from the 80s, and here's first of all is the level crossing. This is the manual one. They did an automatic one. I think he's got one of those in there too. Some amazing sets here which have never been opened before. So this is a spare Lego train motor, a set that I absolutely love. The remote controlled signals here with some amazing parts in there. I've got several of those, not in their box though, but that's amazing to see brand new. So not trains but classic Legoland town. This one is such a high price just because no one has got it in this condition. It's amazing to find it still in its box, and it's still got most of its stickers on its sticker sheet, Paul says. Going back to classic trains, and this is the amazing 80s train station. This one again, he says most of the stickers aren't applied. This is one set which is definitely on my wanted list, so I'm very, very tempted with that one. Then one of my all-time favourite sets from the 12-volt era. This is the only level crossing that Lego ever made with 2 tracks, and what's more, it's remote controlled, so you can press the buttons and the lights start flashing and the barriers go down. It's an amazing set. I do actually have it, but not in its box and in as good condition as this one. And then lastly, my cousin had this set. Hi Richard, if you're watching. This is an amazing set. I really want to get one this at some point, but this is brand new in its box and I just can't quite afford that price tag, but it's absolutely mint, way back from the mid-80s. And then again, another old Legoland set, amazing condition. Again, stickers not all applied, hence the price tag on that, but that box is absolutely immaculate. So it is 3 minutes to 4. And you can see the place has virtually emptied out now. There's just a few stragglers still wandering around the show, but it's been a really busy show. I haven't actually filmed that much during the show today because I've just been crazy busy chatting to people all day long. Just before people started packing up, I bought myself 2 minifigures that I don't already have, so that's 2 more minifigs to add to the giant collection. So the display has been very much hands-on. At this end I did put please do not touch the display signs, however I didn't put one in front of the upscale snack bar, and dozens of people have played with this today and put bricks on top of each other, and people have seemed to really enjoy doing it. I had this next door to it just showing step 1 and 2. Quite a few people didn't totally understand what was going on until they'd seen the instructions and realised, oh, this is actually an upscaled version of this set. But the displayer next door to us didn't actually turn up, so I extended my display ever so slightly onto the table, and the displayer next door extended his display slightly over as well, so we managed to fill up this spare table that was between us. And I did actually buy a few classic vintage sets, and I'll show you those when I get back home. But just before I pack up and leave, as always, a very quick shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for your support of the channel, it really is appreciated. And if anyone else is interested in becoming a channel member and getting their name on a brick in my videos, you can click on the join button below or the link in the description, and that'll tell you how. Or alternatively, if you're buying anything from Lego.com, please use my affiliate link in the description below. It doesn't cost you anything more, but Lego give me a small commission on everything you buy. But now it's time to pack this lot up and take it all home, and then I'll open up those vintage sets that I bought today and show you what I got. So back at home, and I'll show you all the things I got at the Lego show. We've got some classic space, some classic pirates, some Lego system town, and I'll save the best to last. Of course, we've got those 12-volt beautiful 1980s train sets. Now the first set is 6334, and that was called Wave Jump Racers, and this came out in 1996. Now this set was released just before I came out of my Lego Dark Ages in 1999, so I don't even remember it being released at the time. However, I don't have any other minifigures in this set. I do like getting beach themed type of sets, and also I'm a real sucker for any kind of set with one of these palm trees in it. Now the price label on this had been at £40 and it had already gone down to £30, but I managed to strike a cash deal for only £20. It says it's missing the instructions, so we'll have to download those, and it's also missing this one sticker on the front, but apart from that the set's complete. So let's give it a quick build. Now clearly we've got a race going on here in the Wave Jump Racers set. We've got 2 little jet ski type vehicles, which are obviously the ones doing the racing. On the slopes on the front, these are all printed pieces, but then each one's got stickers on the side with the 5 and the 8. We've got a small boat with an outboard on the back, and nicely that can be raised and lowered as well. We've got our finish line checkered flag, and he's obviously the race marshal. Floating in the water, we've got a port and a starboard marker buoy. And for those of you who don't know your port from your starboard, port is left and starboard is green. We've got a rather boxy looking yellow beach buggy. However, I do really like the look of this trailer. It's simple and effective, and one of the wave runners with its boat stud underneath can sit in the back of it, and it's locked in place firmly. And the buggy's got big chunky tyres, so the trailer can be reversed into the water at the end of the the race and both the boats can be retrieved. And then on a small piece of sand we've got a lifeguard tower and that lovely palm tree. Now if you're not familiar with these pieces, each palm tree has this kind of bucket shape on a 2x2 plate at the bottom, and then we've got many others of these which just click into place, and that's a kind of ball and socket joint, so that can then be angled. So when you've got multiple ones in a row, you can easily curve your palm tree over in a nice pleasing way. So on to the next set, and the next set is 6263, and that was called Sabre Island. This set was released in 1989, and as you can see back then apparently it cost £7.99 in the UK. Now I did have a quick look inside this set before I bought it, and I did see that it had good nice quality instructions. The printed base plate hadn't faded at all, and the all important flag and printed panel piece are both in really good condition, and neither of the clips have broken on the flag. Now I've got the original copy of the Eldorado Fortress, which was remade a few years ago, and I've had this set on my wanted list for quite a while to go with that set. And as you can see, it's got another one of those great palm trees. Now I do already have these 3 minifigures in my collection, but you can never have too many Imperial soldiers to guard against those pesky pirates. One nice feature in these instructions, step 1 gives you a completely vertical plan view instead of the regular isometric view, and that helps you lay out the first few pieces on the pattern on the base plate so you can get started in the right way. So time to get building. And this is such a great little set. I'm so glad to have finally got it in such good condition. One thing I noticed whilst building this swivelling cannon over here, although it clips in nicely on this side of its carriage, on the other side one of the clips is broken, so it does wobble a little bit on this side. And if you're not familiar with pirate sets from this era, these cannons are absolutely amazing. This piece at the back, actually you can pull back and it's spring loaded, like that, which means with this nice supply of 1x1 round brick cannonballs you can defend off any pirate ship. You just pop the 1x1 in the end of the cannon, pull it back, and out it shoots. Another small oddity I just noticed is that in the instruction it tells you to put the sword here, the Classic Space ray gun here, and the Classic Castle jousting lance up here with the flag attached. Whereas on the box they suggest you put the sword up here where the flag was, the flag down here where the space gun was, and the space gun down here on the cannon for pushing the cannonballs in. And I think moving the flag from the instruction position to the box art position looks a lot nicer. So I think I'm going to keep it that way. So another great little set, and I've just got a couple more of these Imperial soldier sets to get, which are the Broadsides Brig and the Lagoon Lockup, and then I'll have completed the sets in the Imperial Soldiers theme. So we've had some town and we've had some pirates, onto my favourite theme, Classic Space. Now I said that my friend Paul came along to the show to entice me with some of his amazing 12-volt Lego train sets, and he actually hung around for over 2 hours helping me out on my display, chatting to people about my upscale projects. But knowing what a fan I am of Classic Space, he had a couple of sets which weren't in their boxes, so he wasn't going to sell them on, so thought he'd give them to me as a little present. Now they are both sets that I had when I was a kid, but I don't currently have in my collection, and they're from the second year of Classic Space in 1979, and go perfectly with my Classic Space Buggy. And with the Space Buggy being set 886, it actually is the only set between these two numbers. So first of all we've got set 889, which was called Radar Truck, and like I said came out in 1979, and I've been waiting to get a good condition one of it for quite a while. And as with all of Paul's sets, these have been well looked after, but this set might have been played with just a little bit more than the others, because as you can see the gold on the spaceman's torso has faded, but not on the other set. The gold on his torso is in absolutely pristine condition. And this is set 885, and it was called Space Scooter, and again like I said came out in 1979. However, Paul did tell me that this set might have actually belonged to his brother, as it's got a small chunk taken out of one of the engines. So Paul, I know you're going to be watching this at some point, thank you ever so much for my Classic Space presents. Now the first train set I got from Paul was this one, 7862, and this was the remote controlled decoupler. Now back in the day you could apparently buy this at Co-op and it cost you £11.30, but it tied in with all the other 12-volt sets with these switches which you could plug into the 12-volt controller, and when when you press this, there's a disc inside here which would spin round and uncouple two carriages if they were sitting on top of it. Now Paul's given me a few little gifts before, like those Classic Space sets and a few catalogues in the past as well, but this was another incredibly generous gift of Paul. He had several of these for sale and he thought he'd give me one of them as he knew I didn't have it. Now I'm not going to get this out today, this is going to be saved for a future 12-volt train video at some point, where I'll show off all the amazing 12-volt controls you used to get back then. But the set that I did buy off him, which I am going to get out and build today, is this one, which is 7823, and that was called Container Crane Depot. Now I'm never going to be a 12-volt train set completist and buy all the sets in the series, however this one has been on my radar for quite a long time. I just really like the look of it, and I especially remember seeing it in catalogues as a kid. And right now there are absolutely none for sale in the UK in even a fairly good condition. The set's got 2 lengths of 12-volt track with the metal rail down the centre. It sits on one of those wonderful 32 base plates, and it's the plain version without the pedestrian crossing on it, which makes sense at a container port. And with this huge gantry using a lot of Technic pieces to hold it together, with a crane that can slide and winch up and down, and the entire gantry is also on wheels so it can roll up and down the side of the track. So I've never owned a 12-volt train set as close to original condition as this one, so I'm really looking forward to opening this up and building it. As with all the sets I've bought from Paul in the past, this is packed absolutely beautifully. And it looks like the string is still on its original piece of cardboard. Now I'm going to have to keep my wits about me, because even though when I was a kid I could follow these easily, I've been so used to using modern Lego instructions which tell you exactly how many pieces to use and where to put them. The oldest instructions didn't do that, and you have to kind of spot the difference between each step. And when you get to the crane, you just get a mass of red bricks with the entire build on this double-page spread. And like he told me at the show, true to his word, none of the yellow and black striped stickers have been applied to the gantry. So first build done, it's a fairly basic truck but very typical of the era. I do like these original wedge plate pieces before they had the stud cutouts on the side. It makes a much smoother nose when you're adding them to vehicles like this. I think it look a lot nicer than when they added in those notches. I understand the notches make it a lot more easier to use on plates, but I much prefer the look of these. And back in the day when you had 4 stud wide vehicles, you had 4 stud wide containers. Nowadays these would be 6 studs, but it's exactly the same system as we had on the 9-volt train set I had in last week's video, with the 2 plates raised up by 1 plate themselves, 2 tiles, so raised up by 1 plate, so they sit nicely on top like that. And according to the instructions, containers like this are designed to carry large yellow blocks. So in last week's video I asked you what the barrels on the 9-volt train were meant to be transporting. This week I want to know, what's this meant to be transporting? So road truck and containers finished, onto the rail truck. And that's the rail truck completed, and just like the back of the road truck, it's got that same system of 1x8s and 1x2 tiles, so the containers can just slot on top of them. And because the doors stick out one end, they have to be seated back to back so the doors are facing outwards like that, but you can fit both containers on the rail truck, whereas you can only fit one on the road truck. And without the containers on, I really do like the look of this truck. I know it's very simple looking, but it does look kind of smart. Now, being an 80s train, it does have those very basic wheels, and when we went up to the 9-volt era, they got completely upgraded to the new style of wheel that we still have today. Of course, we've got the rotating magnets before they were encased in plastic, but on this train we also have this large peg sticking down, and I believe that's what helped them uncouple on that uncoupling set. But never having used one, that's something for me to investigate at a later date. So with the side builds complete, onto the grey gantry, and then finally finishing up with the red crane. So it's complete, but it's far too big to fit on my build desk here. So as always with larger things, we're going to go and do a little bit of on-location filming inside the house. And I am so glad that this is the set that I chose to buy off Paul, because it really is exceptionally cool. The set makes extensive use of this 1x8 rail plate just to keep everything moving smoothly. You can see the gantry has two, one up here and one below, and they run along one of the black ones. So each one slots into the groove of the other one, and that just keeps it on track as it runs up and down. And that's the same on both sides of the gantry, but then on the outside, instead of having rail pieces, we're using regular town wheels, and they're running along just the edge of regular train track pieces. And if I ever build this into a Lego city, it'd be really easy just to extend with a few black bricks and a few more rail pieces to make the track for the gantry crane a lot longer. But as well as the grey gantry running backwards and forwards along the black rails, the red crane obviously runs side to side along the grey gantry, and that's using a similar technique, using the grey rails, but they're just slotted between some regular red bricks. And you can see that here where the grey rail is just running on top of that red panel piece. And one thing I never realised about this set is that the hook isn't a regular plastic Lego hook, it's actually made from metal. And that's so that even if there isn't a container attached, when you wind down the hook, it's still got enough weight to drop down on its own. And I also really like the simple design of the little cab with the part red ladder here, so when it docks back up the other end, it joins up with the grey ladder so he can climb out of his cab and get all the way down to the ground. So our train has been loaded with one container, but obviously it can't leave until it's got a full load. So let's get the other container on board. So that's my vintage haul from the Southampton Brick Festival. I think there's pretty much something for everyone. There's some towns, some trains, some pirates, and even classic space. I always know that Paul's sets are going to be in immaculate condition, but it's really good to find the Sabre Island in such good condition too. As always, let me know your thoughts on these sets in the comments below. Which was your favourite theme and which was your favourite set? If you've liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. But above everything else, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe for more LEGO videos.